Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday morning Course in Miracles group. I'm Lisa Natoli, and I'm so happy to be here and happy to see new faces, happy for the live streamers who are here. And I'm going to be teaching today. And the topic is changing the picture of yourself and choosing your core values. So those two tie in together, and we teach A Course in Miracles here. And what this group was intentionally set for is that we practice the principles of A Course in Miracles. We don't study them and talk about them and discuss them. We encourage everyone to live them, because that's the only way that you'll see that they work. So A Course in Miracles is a systematic way to bring the light into the darkness, and it just drops right in out of nowhere. Oh my God. I see a very familiar face here. Come up here. Ronnie, Idris, Monica, come up. I want everyone to see. Oh my God. You're on live stream right now.
Yeah.
Can you say hi to your friends?
Hi.
And Ronnie. Oh my God. How awesome is this?
Wow.
And Monica. These are my mighty companions. I was there for 10 years in Wisconsin for a place for A Course in Miracles, and OMG.
We used to sit right beside each other, remember? In
The
the
what?
front. We used to always sit in the front.
Totally.
Right beside each
Oh,
other.
yes. Yes. So thank you for being here. This is awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Oh my God, what a surprise. And it really is. A Course in Miracles is a systematic way to train your mind to notice where you think you are as a separate human body, separate from everyone and everything. And it brings you back to who you truly are, which is eternal, ageless, colorless, timeless, one with everyone. You're in every blade of grass, you're in every drop in the ocean, you're in every atom, you're in every mind. And we don't know that as bodies. And so it's a way to begin where you think you are and lead you back within to the truth of what you really are. So just going to open up with that. And I'm just going to start with some announcements, and we have meet and greet, and then I will begin to share my talk, changing the picture of yourself and choosing your core values. So, announcements. So we have the presenter series by the Teachers of God Foundation, and it's just an incredible community that the Teachers of God created as a place to practice the principles of A Course in Miracles. And Robert Perry, who's the one of the founders of the Circle of Atonement, is currently in there for the month. And what the Teachers of God Foundation did, and I love this, is they invited teachers, Course in Miracle teachers from around the world to join in the Transformation Room, the presenter series. And what I feel that this is a move that Jesus has been moving us towards for 2,000 years, is that we let go of our differences and join in the one voice. So for the last 50-something years since A Course in Miracles came into the world, it feels to me like there's different Course in Miracle teachers and organizations with separate interests. And that's the situation of the world, right? And now what's been happening over the last, at least 5 years that I can see, is everyone getting it that if I don't help my brother, like I'm still stuck in separation. Like we're to join together in one voice and let the Christ mind come through. So we've invited Jennifer Hadley, Corinne Zupko, Maria Felipe, Bob Rosenthal, who's the co-president of the Foundation for Inner Peace, Robert Perry, Carol Howe, Jimmy Twyman, and there's been a lot of invitations also for next year for people to come in. And it's just incredible because now we get to really share the message without it being like, well, this is what the Teachers of God Foundation says, or this is what Lisa Natoli says, or this is what so-and-so says. Nobody cares about that. Like, the only thing is a teaching to come back to the self that you are. Who cares who the messenger is? So that cart opens up at the end of this month, opens up once a month. And also, Vicki Thomas, who many of you know down in Boston, is having an afternoon party on August 2nd, which is 2 Fridays from now, from 4 to 6:30. And Marianne Williamson's going to be there. So she's rented a tent, 200 chairs, be tons of food. So for anybody who wants to come, I'll be there. Monica, you're teaching next week?
Yeah.
Monica Dubé is teaching here next Friday, and then Arthur Gay is teaching on the August 2nd date. So if anybody wants to go down there, we'll just go from here somehow, lunch, and then down there. And
Arthur will be taking questions, so any
Okay.
questions that want to be answered ahead of time, send them to billfreeonline@gmail.com.
Okay, cool, thanks.
What he just said?
Oh, so Arthur Gay will be taking questions, and you can send them to bill@teachersofgod.org.
Arthur's a yoga instructor that taught at Stony Point,
Nope.
correct?
Nope,
No?
Stony Point.
New
Who's?
York, when I first met you?
Nope.
Like after
Nope,
20
Arthur is a teacher of A Course in Miracles and non-duality.
Okay.
He's just this amazing teacher. Okay, so I think that's it for the announcements. And now we will just take this time to meet and greet and love. And we all rise and just meet our brother in love. I knew you were coming, and I was thinking about you last night. I didn't know what the date was.
Yes, I came on.
Hi, everyone. So the next part that we do is we have something called Cafe Gratitude, and it's a book that Bill and I picked up from a restaurant in California. And their principle there is gratitude. And I've said it a million times every time I introduce someone to come up. But they train their workers to clear any old baggage before they start working. And I just think that's a great practice. And so part of their work time shift that they get paid for is they have to come in 20 minutes early and they have to meet with another person before their shift begins. And anything that they carried into the restaurant that's not full joy and full gratitude gets cleared with another person. So they train them how to do that. And I just think that's amazing because that's really what it is to be a teacher of God. And so we have a calendar and we invite someone each week to come up here. It has a quote and a contemplation question. And we invite the person to read it, for us all to contemplate it, and then share what they get from the quote or the inspiration. And so this week we are inviting Martha Waranowski. Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. I'm Martha. This is the book. If anybody's interested, anybody on the line, it's called Plenty of Time. And today's quote is from Confucius. It says, "If three of us travel together, I shall find two teachers. If three of us travel together, I shall find two teachers." And Jesus teaches us in the Course in Miracles that we're all students and we're all teachers. And the question for contemplation is, where have you fallen asleep to your dreams? That's really a very broad question for me. I don't know where I haven't fallen asleep to my dreams at one time or another. I'm just progressing along the road, along the path. How about you all? Where have you fallen asleep to your dreams? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martha. So happy to see so many of you here today. And the topic I've chosen is changing the picture of yourself. And we're going to do an exercise later, choosing your core values. And that goes along with what I'm going to share today. And I wrote a blog over at the Teachers of God Foundation talking about this topic. I just wanted to expand on it in person. So I've been thinking a lot about what Jesus says in A Course in Miracles. He seems to say two contradicting things. So he says in many places there's nothing to heal. You're whole, you're perfect, there's nothing to heal. So that's true. There is nothing to heal. And he also says you must heal yourself and others. So which is it? Is there really nothing to heal, or do we need to heal ourselves and others? And he commanded his disciples to go heal the sick and raise the dead. And we're his disciples, and we become what he is, the Christ. But first, we're a disciple. Like first, you have to begin to acknowledge the healing power of God within you as you, and you must begin to use it to know it. Otherwise, it's just a concept. So you're just quoting something you read in A Course in Miracles or a book. There's nothing to heal. I'm whole and perfect. But is that your reality? Is that really your reality? Are you identified with your eternal self? And there's just that one experience of joy and gratitude and love. Because if that's not your experience, Jesus says there's work to do. And the way that you come into the acknowledgement of your true self, one with God, one with everyone and everything, is to begin to heal yourself and to heal others. So what is healing? And so healing, defined by the dictionary, actually just means wholeness. That's the definition of the word heal, whole. So when you're healing, you're coming back into the awareness of your own wholeness. So what I wanted to do today was read a little bit from the Psychotherapy Handbook. And this is a booklet that came through Helen Schuckman after A Course in Miracles. So it's not in all the versions of the book. It's not in the Circle of Atonement book. And for those of you who know me, you know that I always encourage everyone to buy this book. This was published a year ago by the Foundation of the Circle of Atonement. It took 10 years. They received the permission of the Foundation for Inner Peace to go back to Helen Schuckman's shorthand journals and recreate, without editing, exactly what came through Helen Schuckman, including all the personal notes. And it's fun that everybody from Endeavor Academy is here, because I don't know if you guys realized it, but it was the lawsuit from Endeavor Academy that has made this possible. So Endeavor Academy years ago had sued the Foundation for Inner Peace for the copyright to open up. They just recognized what? Oh, I'm sorry. That didn't feel right. Okay, sorry. So the Foundation for Inner Peace, they sued Endeavor Academy. That's interesting. Okay. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, why did we sue them? Why would we do that? Okay, so the Foundation for Inner Peace sued Endeavor Academy because that's what they were doing. They were at the time doing the best that they knew how, and individuals that were there put up their own personal money to pay the lawyers. It cost a lot of money, and what ended up happening? Yes, Bill.
Wasn't it because?
Hold on.
Wasn't it because Endeavor Academy printed their own course book based on the Foundation for Inner Peace? They had their own blue book that was in print.
It was actually
Was it the 20-minute book?
It was the 20-minute book.
Okay. So it was Providence, though, because
so perfect.
because because Endeavor won, and it changed everything.
Yeah, so that's like amazing, and that's where Jesus is in charge, because he works like this, working through us. And when you think something's not like going correctly, it's like, this just, why are we being sued, or why is this person saying this? But we don't know the big picture. So Endeavor ended up winning, and the copyright to the material of A Course in Miracles was free. And so this is what I was expressing at the beginning of today, was that this is where I know that there is something happening here in the world where we all are dropping our separate interests and joining together as one. So for many years, it looked like the fortress that is the Foundation for Inner Peace, right? And they have two new co-presidents, Bob Rosenthal and Tamara Morgan, and the Foundation for Inner Peace has totally changed over the last couple of years since they've come together. And Bob even says it was a fortress. He said that they were just doing the best they could. And now it's like they're totally open to joining with every other organization to help get the message of A Course in Miracles out into the world. And so they gave the Circle of Atonement permission to have access to all of those shorthand notebooks. And for 10 years, they meticulously went through her shorthand notes, and that's this book. And so for anybody who's struggling with the material, has had the old book and still not there yet, anybody who's never heard of A Course in Miracles, I always suggest this version because it comes through as it came through Helen. And it also has 33 essays of original stories of how Jesus, the Christ mind, was working with Helen and Bill 50 years ago on how to listen, how to heal, how to forgive. He was using their relationship as the first place to demonstrate these principles and how to find a coat. I mean, he gives very practical instructions. Like there's a story in here where Helen had a lot of fear around a building strike in New York City and that they were going to not have access to the elevator and she was going to move out. And so Helen's instructing her, you need do nothing. And that became the section, I need do nothing in here. But the Foundation for Inner Peace took out all of those original instructions because they thought they were too personal. There were instructions about sex. There are instructions about everything. Like there's tons of stories about Helen healing Dave Diamond and just how she's using her mind. Jesus is instructing her, here's how you heal. This is true healing. And so I found that when that book was published, and some of you know my story because I've told it before, I had tremendous, tremendous resistance to picking up that book because of my absolute devotion to the Foundation for Inner Peace and their 50 years of just their service. And I refused to read that book. Refused. I was very vocal about it also. And Bill, my husband, bought 2 copies. $40 each. He bought 1 copy for him and 1 copy for me. And I was like, get that thing away from me. I refused to open it. And so Bill was like, all right, fine. He doesn't push me. He's just like, okay, fine. I'll get the copies here. And what he did was he would read the book himself and he would constantly every day come into the room where I was and say, oh my God, listen to this, Lisa. And he would read me something and my mind would just like go like blah, blah, blah. I already knew that. Like that's what I did. I did that for, I don't know, a couple weeks. And I just kept thinking, I already know that story. I already heard that. I already knew that idea. And so one day I'm in the bathtub and he comes into the bathroom. He's all excited. And I was just totally checked out in the bathtub, all naked, right? And he's like, Lisa, oh my God. He reads me this section from the Course. Oh my God. I got so excited. I was like, what? It was from chapter 5. I don't even know what it was. I'd never heard it before. I said, give me that book. And I said, where's my copy? He goes, that is your copy. And I never put it down after that because I realized like it's an energy field of continuity. It's not broken. It's not, who has that book? Anybody? Would you agree with what I'm saying here? Yes? And so I'm sort of taking a commercial break over here to say all of that. But I think it's important that people who want to do this work have the material for yourself. So you're not looking outside of yourself to a teacher. That's what we do on the spiritual path. We find a teacher we like and we just listen to them. And then you get bits and pieces. I see it with myself. People love the way I teach and they listen to me and they watch every video and they watch every audio. I'm like, don't look at me, go get the book. Because you're only going to get broken bits and pieces. And so if you have the book and you make a commitment to the mind training, the 365 workbook lessons, which take 1 year to complete, and you find your true teacher, your inner teacher, then you're free. Then you're not looking outside of yourself anymore. And so it's the best money you'll ever spend. And once you have the book, just make a commitment to do it. So and this is not in it. So this is this Psychotherapy Handbook, and the Song of Prayer were 2 additional supplements that came through Helen Schuckman. And they're in some versions of the Foundation for Inner Peace. They're in, you have to, when you go to Amazon, you have to see that it's actually in that particular version. But the Foundation for Inner Peace, like I said, it's just such a young energy now. It's so vibrant, and so like, we want to just give everything. And so they're making a lot of you can use a ton of content for free, as long as you say where it came from. And, I created a online program called The Healing Cure. It's an 8-week online do-it-yourself coaching program for true healing. And I wrote to them for permission to use this entire book, because I wanted to put this in here, because it's got very clear instruction on you being a healer, a teacher, a physician, and a therapist. And so, it's interesting, because here in the world, there's laws. Like Kelly Russell, she's a licensed psychotherapist, was teaching last week. And I wanted to go the route of going back to college a couple years ago and get my master's degree as a therapist, so that I could legally say I'm a therapist. And I sat with it, and I was like, but I don't want to go back to school and learn their method for therapy. This is the only therapy I want. And so how can we call ourselves these things? You don't have to call yourself anything, and you don't have to do anything. But I have disclaimers all over my website and all over everything I do. I'm not a doctor. Go to your doctor. I'm not licensed. But I am a therapist of God, because a therapist of God is anyone who helps another change the picture of themselves. And a true therapist of God recognizes that the patient is them. So it gives the entire kind of process for therapist, patient, teacher, student, and you're in the recognition always that you're always talking to yourself. And you're always only using the situation to heal the thought that has come forth. And you're joining with another and doing it. I love you so much. Do you want to share anything? You're just in a lot of joy.
Yes, I am. I was just thinking how it's always, there's always this paradox, just like when you started and said there's nothing to heal and be a healer to your brother. And it's because A Course in Miracles is speaking to us as bodies here in this life on this earth, and we start as egos, but its job, its point is to get us from ego mind thinking to being in full joy and expansion and release. And so it sounds paradoxical. It sounds schizzy. It's like it sounds when it's speaking to my ego self, it says, look who you are now. And it'll have paragraphs like that. And then it'll go into if you don't keep going, you might think, oh my gosh, why would I read this book? But if you read even a few more paragraphs, then it's already switching back to, but here's the hope, here's the joy, here's how you do it. It's this way and this way and this way. So its job is to go from duality to non-duality. And so by definition, there are places when you think, who are they talking to or about? You have to, I find I have to pay attention to sort of follow it sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the way you just expressed that, Nancy. And it's true. It's taking you from non-duality duality to non-duality. And like one of the things I wanted to share this morning is, to me, the most powerful practice you can do, and you have to do it every day. It's just until it becomes automatic. And then the mind of God just completely destroys your entire thought system of duality. But when you wake up in the morning, every morning, and Bill Free, my husband, talks about awareness a lot. And he talks about local awareness versus awareness. So local awareness is your awareness through the senses, through the body. So it's local, it's contained. And awareness is the allness of all. So the practice is every morning you wake up and you make a deliberate, conscious decision to join your local mind with the mind of God. Does that make sense to everybody? Where you wake up as a body, separate, scared, fearful, whatever, and you have a training now, and you can step into mastery where you don't get out of bed until you are in the mind of God as eternal. That you just do it. It just is not a big deal. And that's what I'm going to talk about later with your core values, is you choose some of the qualities that are qualities of God, strength, grace, or qualities that are close enough, gratitude, you get as close as you can, just go as far as you can and pick a vibration or an energy field or a quality that you can become one with. Appreciation, kindness, anything to get you out of the duality of those lower energy fields. And that's where Jesus is always talking about collaboration. You have to be part of this process. You have to willingly participate, because people just, I know people, I'm talking about myself, like all the years I wanted so much to serve. I mean, I was like, I'm all in. I want to just only be here for the salvation of the world. I just want to love. Use me. Here I am, Lord. And nothing was happening because I was waiting for a miracle. I wasn't stepping into this place, and it was only, I know now, because of my deep resistance and fear. It's all unconscious. But once you become conscious of what was previously unconscious, then you can heal it. So I want to just write down, I got the board out here because I came up with some 4 stages that I feel are on every spiritual path, and I just want to kind of fly through them quick so you can see where you are in these stages. And I love using words with C in them. So some of you know this story with this little necklace. So I bought this necklace a year ago near Portland, Maine, and I was feeling like I was going into an entirely new segment of life. Like I felt like a new chapter was opening up before me, and the chapter that I felt I was stepping into is identifying completely with my Christ nature. I am Christ. And I was so afraid of that. I was like, oh my God, can't say that. But I thought, I want a reminder to stay centered. So then I was doing all these C words, centered, clear, connected with myself, connected with my brother, clear, seeing with Christ's vision, calm, resting in God. So I came up with all of these C words. So I found this necklace in a jewelry shop in Portland. It was extremely expensive, and I decided to have it engraved with a C. And I was all excited. It's just going to remind me every day I am Christ. And it took them a couple days to engrave it. I get it back. I went from the jewelry shop to the bookstore, only 10 minutes have passed, right? Maybe 10 or 20 minutes. And I'm at the counter buying a book. And this woman goes, "Oh, I love your necklace. What's the C for?" And I was like, oh no. Like, I didn't mean to be a billboard. I don't want to have a discussion about Christ, right? Like, it means Christ. Now I have to describe what it means. And it always gets convoluted in the discussion. Like, now I'm just some like religious freak or whatever. I drove from the bookstore right back over to the jewelry store. I said, take the C off. So they ungraved it. So now it's just, I know what was there, but that, I don't want to be a billboard for this message. I just want to be the message. That's all. I don't need to preach to anybody. I just want to be the embodiment of Christ. And I wanted something that was just going to be this constant reminder. So the stages are all C's also. So you see? So the first stage in the path of transformation and healing is the crazy stage. So the crazy stage is also conflict and chaos, all C's. So the first stage is the victim stage. Okay, I'm a victim, things are happening to me, and I'm sick, and sickness chose me, have no money, whatever. So that's the crazy stage. The next stage is confidence. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people think this is actually the last stage. Like, people think like, I want the confidence to know who I am. But to me, confidence is just the next stage to get you out of crazy conflict and chaos. And it's a necessary stage to begin to just, Jesus says this, it's here in one of the essays. Jesus tells Bill Thetford, you need to have more confidence. You just never claim your rights. Just claim your rights, have more confidence. And we think, well, I'll have confidence when something happens. No, he's saying, no, right now, have more confidence. And so who can do that here, right? You could just have more confidence. And what I was thinking about, is this explosion of online businesses now, and I'm there also. Like, I have an online program. Teachers of God Foundation has lots of online programs. It's like 99.9% of most of the online programs right now are confidence. They're teaching you to love yourself, to really just be grateful, to show up and just know who you are, right? But the confidence stage is almost always you're still trapped in a body. You're confident, but it's your body identity that's confident. Like, it's not Christ confidence, Christ certainty. It's body identity confidence. But this is necessary. To go from here to here is huge. To love yourself, to even love yourself as a body, to say, okay, I'm going to take care of myself, another C word. It's like you have to just make this step at least, to move out of like, poor me, into confidence. The next stage is community. And community doesn't, in my mind, mean necessarily, although it can include it, like online community or physical communities. It means that you make the step from confidence to including your brother. That's what I mean when I say community. That you make a shift in your thinking where it's not all about you. So this from here to here is from me to we. You recognize I can't heal without my brother. So this is this is where I think a lot of people get stuck, is because they're trying to heal something. They're trying to heal sickness. They're trying to heal depression or anxiety. And they're trying to use their mind, but they're still contained in their own limited ideas. And so the shift now is, and this is why in the Healing Cure, and why Jesus all through the Course says that there's nothing to heal. The body is in no need of healing. You're not a body. Is to get you to make this shift, to say, okay, I'm just going to claim the confidence. I am healed. I am eternal. I am whole. And now I'm going to start to give away all the gifts that I now recognize as mine: love, joy, a listening ear, your time, like all the things that we actually do have to give. But in sickness, you don't know you have anything. You just think, I'm sick, I have no money, I'm whatever, I'm weak, I'm frail, I'm this, I'm that. But when you get over yourself, that's confidence. Like you say, screw that. Like, I'm now going to start sharing my joy, gratitude, love. Now you've moved into community, where now your focus is offer yourself completely. You're like, screw this. And that's most of you who know my story. I was sick, trying to heal myself for years. And then I was like, screw that. And I literally shifted my focus and the energy field from me trying to heal myself. I was like, I don't care if this body just disappears and dies. I don't care. Like, I want only to know who I am and to extend it and not block it. That's community. And in that, the healing occurred. That's where healing occurs. And so the next step, where we're all going, is creator. And so these are the stages that came to me. Like, as you're going from being a human being trapped in your own dualistic thought system and moving down through, and then of course, once you're at the creator stage, this all gets included now. Like, now Jesus says, now go back. Now that the darkness in you has been brought to light, carry it now back. So you're now carrying it back to all these. Does this make sense? Does anyone want to share anything? Yeah. Where's the mic?
I have it. There's another C that goes with creator, and it is certainty.
Yeah, the certainty of
The
Christ.
creator has certainty and includes all of those phenomenal experiences.
Certainty of Christ. Yeah.
That's a conviction.
It's a little bit of a mess. I have to blow my nose. I'll turn the mic off. Anybody else have any? Monica.
So I love this. I know that there are, you want to measure where you are along the path. Try not to do that, because what happens is you're going to go in between all of them all the time, and you never really know. But what I get from it is that, because I always emphasize the creatorship. You have the power to create your life as you want it to be, but you don't really know that if you are stuck in that stage one. Mm-hmm. So the creatorship becomes a way of being. It's not just a stage. It's a way of being, because you enter this light of recognizing you're not separate. Mm-hmm. And it's an experience, though. You can't theorize about this. It's an experience of the recognition that you can never be separate. So the creatorship is your natural state. Yeah. The fear behind that is that, okay, so now what? What will I do with that creatorship? Because it becomes, oh, I'm all powerful. I can create. Uh-huh. And that can be scary only because you've always been thinking of yourself in that victim mode. But But if you can sustain the judgment about it or the fear of what you think you've lost, because you haven't lost anything. You've actually discovered who you are. And the Christ, when I see the certainty of Christ, it's the certainty of the self. So in every mind, in every experience, it becomes a revelatory thing. Like I really didn't know what I was going to say when I grabbed the mic. It just comes through you.
Yep.
And that's the creatorship is like, oh my God, I'm whole and I'm perfect. And I, in the admission of that, I just open my mouth and it will come through me. So there's that trust that it will work, but it's also the idea that you don't have to work at this.
Yep.
It's an acceptance of the truth of you. Does that make sense?
Beautiful. Totally.
Someone is asking a question.
Okay.
Would you say that this is after purification and then miracles and integration can happen?
Who cares? Like, stop measuring that because you're going to try to measure, well, where am I then on that scale? I don't know. I mean, there's purification happening in every moment, but then like try not to measure yourself when you're going through this because that's still the ego that's in analyzing and trying to figure it out. Stop trying to figure it out because that's where you get stuck. And that is really the beauty of the Course is that you don't know how to do A Course in Miracles. It works you. You know, you open the thing up and it works you. Just your willingness to open that book is all that's required of you every day. Like, but do it every day because, you know, it's so easy to fall back into fear. And you will have layers and layers of things you got to go through. That's okay. That's part of this whole plan, right? But try not to measure yourself or think I'm here and I'm there and she's better than me and I'm less than. That's still judgment and that's what has to be relinquished. And for me, it was a gradual process, but then there were moments where I was completely lifted out. So allow for the miracle to happen as it does for you. It'll be personal to you and perfect.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm grateful for the question. I'm grateful, Monica, for what you just said, because it reminds me, and for anybody who's been around me for any length of time, you know I don't like giving stages because people get confused by the stages and then they try to figure out where they are, but we live in a quantum universe. So there actually are no stages. You already are a creator. You already are out of all of this. But my mind works like this for anybody. This is to me what it is to be a therapist. Like you first go through the transformation yourself where you make a commitment within yourself to say, above all else, I want to see things differently. Above all else, I want to know myself. And Jesus says, and the way for you to speed up this work is to include your brother in with it. So it's always going to be about not just you sitting on a mountaintop or in a cave in your room with meditation. Jesus even says that meditation will get you there, but that's a long, tedious process. That's what he says. And that's been my experience. My experience is that everything in life brings to me exactly everything that shows me if there's still a block in me. That's it. And so it says the purpose of psychotherapy is the only form of therapy there is. Since only the mind can be sick, only the mind can be healed. Only the mind is in need of healing. This does not appear to be the case, for the manifestations of this world seem real indeed. Psychotherapy is necessary so that an individual can begin to question their reality. So that's like step one, right? You're in the middle of a situation, your life, whatever, and you begin to question it. Maybe there's another way. Maybe I made this up. Maybe I did create this. Maybe my brother's not an asshole. Maybe, like you begin to question your reality. Maybe that didn't happen the way I thought it happened. You begin to question your reality, and that is the opening for the purification to occur. Now you're not so stuck on your story and your location that you can allow something new to present itself. So Sometimes he is able to start to open his mind without formal help, but even then, it is always some change in his perception of interpersonal relationships that enables him to do so. Sometimes he needs a more structured, extended relationship with an official therapist. Either way, the task is the same. The patient must be helped to change his mind about the quote-unquote reality of illusions. That's why I consider myself a therapist. It's all I do, all day long. And I don't think of it as a job or as work, but every single time anybody comes to me or in my mind, my job as a therapist is to change either my mind about them or their mind about themselves. And he's training us, Jesus, as the greatest teacher and the greatest healer who ever lived, which is your Christ mind. That's where the greatest healer and the greatest teacher resides and abides in you, is teaching and training us how to do this work. How can you help another? And so, turn the page, he'll tell us, right? Very simply, the purpose of psychotherapy is to remove the blocks to truth. Its aim is to aid the patient in abandoning his fixed delusional system. So, whenever somebody comes to you with a story or an upset or a fear, you, centered, clear as Christ, right? Calm. You got to plug in first. You got to find your own center. That's why I got this necklace. Like, it just was a reminder for myself to stay plugged in, to get the local mind plugged in with the universal mind. I'm thinking with the mind of God. I don't know what you said, Monica, but it reminded me of what we are is love without a filter. Like, I know what it was. You said, I didn't even know what I was going to say when I picked up the microphone. That's what it was. So you, in the transformation, become love without a filter. And so I was thinking about Trump. I'm just going to talk about that situation, and I didn't plan this one either, but Trump is amazing. What just happened in the world scene with those 4 congresswomen is thrilling to me. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's thrilling. So Trump made some comments on Twitter that were shocking indeed. And the comments are being called racial. And now there's a big controversy. Were they racist, really? Were they? And what, I don't really follow politics that much, but that came into my view. And when something comes into my view, I'm like, okay, must be mine to look at. Okay, I'm going to look at it. So I go to Trump's Twitter feed over the weekend, which I've never done before. And I was like, seriously? What? Did he say these things? Really? And he was talking about 4 members of Congress, women, and he told them to go back from where you came from. And, and everything's perception here. So we don't even know what he meant by that. So I'm not attached to like what I think he said, but it was an outright attack. And my thought when I read the Twitter was like, how in the world do thoughts like those actually leave a person's head onto a Twitter feed and they push the send button? That's what happened to me. I was like, that guy needs the 40-day program for transformation. Like, seriously? How in the world? But I got so I got chills right now. I was shocked to my core that the President of the United States or that anyone would actually write those things and post them and then not delete them. Like I saw them several. I can understand if someone made a mistake and they're like, oh, that was dumb. You wake up the next morning and go, what was I thinking? And then you delete it. Because I saw the comment several days later. And so my first thought was, really? Okay. But my second thought was, this is awesome, because the light, when it comes, pushes the darkness out. And it's kind of like when the body's in healing mode and the pus comes out. I know, it's like an analogy I'm going to use. The skin breaks. There's so much healing happening, and we get chills up and down, but it's so much healing happening in the one mind. There's so many individuals in this world that are dedicated and devoted to love and awakening, that this one mind that we share is lit. So the darkness can't hide anymore. That's what I saw when I saw Trump's comment. It's like a body that's in healing mode, and the skin erupted and the pus comes out. And what, of course, we all do is now we're analyzing the pus, right? We're like, well, this shouldn't be happening. He shouldn't have said that. How can he do that? What an asshole. That's racist. And so now, like, everybody's on board with that. But as healers and teachers and therapists, as those of us dedicated to the Great Awakening, those comments that he just put out in public are in the one mind. Those thoughts are in the one mind. There is racism, there is separation, there is differences in the one mind. So how are you the savior? You heal that thought that is in one mind, which then ends up manifesting as many individuals who think they hold those beliefs. How do we heal it? We see it for what it is, and we say, okay, I'm staying centered in the truth of what I am. It's just, Jesus said it 2,000 years ago, forgive them, they know not what they do. Anybody who posts something like that, they don't know what they're doing. They don't need my attack, they don't need my judgment. So this is a thrilling moment for us in the world, because it's and I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, because it should be like, he shouldn't have posted that. No, healing, you have to see what's been hiding. It has to come out. It can't be healed if you don't see it. It cannot come out. If he kept that hidden inside of himself, we couldn't heal it. But it's out now. It's out in the public. It's how brilliant Jesus is, that it's the President of the United States. It goes on every news outlet everywhere around the world that's being broadcast right now. And it's kind of like when Jesus chose Helen Schuckman to be the scribe for the material, she was chosen because she wasn't going to filter the material. She's an atheist. She was if the master teacher, who we were with at Endeavor Academy, he said to us one time, he pointed to me directly. He goes, you know why you didn't get the job to be a scribe? Because you would have heard the first sentence and you would have been gone from here and the message never would have come through. And I was like, yeah, that's probably true. I would have gotten so excited. I'd be blogging about it and I'd be like posting about it. But Helen didn't believe the message. So she was the perfect scribe for 7 years to just dictate. Total dictation, no questioning. So Trump is the perfect person. It's like, I feel like Jesus is like, all right, I need someone without a filter. Who is it? No, seriously. Who would be like totally, he's just confident, he's charismatic, he's just bold, right? And without a filter. He's our guy. He's our next, let's make him the president of the United States of America. Right? And so he's in the public, which is crazy to most of us. How the hell did that guy get elected? Right? But when you actually can like just stay calm and centered, like, all right, there's no accidents. That's what Jesus tells us. Everything is for my good. Everything's unfolding perfectly. It's only when I'm resisting and thinking that shouldn't be happening. He shouldn't have said that. He did say it. Now my work as a healer is to now recognize, that's mine to heal. Those thoughts of separation, I heal them. How do I heal them? By knowing the truth. So, you have the mic.
I was just thinking that consciously, most of us would say, I don't think those thoughts. I don't have those ideas in my mind. And we can't see them because they're hidden, except for our reaction to the thing that he said.
Yep.
Or our judgment about the thing that he said allows me to say, there's judgment there, there's reaction there, there's motion there. That's all there is for me to work with.
Yep.
And that's enough.
Yep.
So he is the perfect,
Yep.
he is the perfect guy.
Yep.
He's the perfect symbol of abrasive arrogance that I have in my own mind.
Yep.
Noticed by my reaction to what he says, or to what I think is good or bad that a president should or shouldn't say. Judgment. So I love the way you're expressing this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill, because the thing is like stuff like that, like it's, most of us in life are just sleepwalking. We're just eyes open and we're doing our thing, but we're sleepwalking through life. When stuff like that happens, it stirs something like, what? And the thing that's been happening to me is watching those 4 congresswomen responding with grace. They're not hiding from the bully, which is my old system. My old system is just hold the truth quietly and not speak up. And I'm not saying I always need to speak up, but it's been an activating force for me to see this happening and to recognize that this might be the perfect thing that's pushing people to wake up. Like I was just now in this moment, when you were sharing, Bill, like my father's father was racist. And the sweetest, kindest man on the planet. My grandfather, oh my God. He's so big Italian guy, so sweet. But I remember when I was little, my father told us as children that a black family moved into the neighborhood where his parents lived, and his father said, "Oh, there goes the neighborhood." But such goodness came out of that situation because my father was like, you are not being raised to think there's any difference between anybody. So my parents, based on his reaction to his father, said, the buck stops here. So we were raised, we would get in trouble for anything that we would say or that we brought home from other kids. And we would be given a talk. There's no difference. Color, gender, people with no money, people with lots of money. That's how my mom and dad raised us. So and that's the training. We have to actually teach people these things. I mean, that sounds weird that we have to teach equality, but we actually do. And so to me, it's a time of each of us just recognizing, like, don't join into the chaos, because now you're back here again. You know, you're like just participating in the drama, and just get here as a healer, as a creator. So I want to open it up for, I wanted to do that one final practice. So I want you to just take this one home and watch yourself. Do we have a eraser? Oh, this? So Jesus says in A Course in Miracles that the world that you think you see is a reflection of what you think you are. Okay? So what are you seeing? What do you think you are? And then what he says is, as a creator, It's what you choose to be. So I wanted to use this last little bit for you to become a creator. Like you're a creator now. And so healing and creation are really nothing more than you identifying where you thought you were. So sickness is a belief. I am weak, I am sick, I am frail, I am separate. And healing is to catch those thoughts and actively change them with the truth. I am not weak but strong. I am not separate but one. I am not frail but powerful. And so you're active, and that's unity. That's the unity work. You're affirming the truth, but you have to see what you've been believing. You can't just let it go hiding and keep it buried. It has to come up. You have to actually see what you've been thinking and believing about yourself. And when you're identified as a body, the result is always 100%. You are going to identify yourself as overwhelmed, irritated, frail, weak, sick, lonely, depressed. You get all the effects of that location and that vibration and that state of mind. It's a state of being, sickness. And so some people have body conditions, but they're not sick because they've identified completely with the truth of what they are, and they're living from that place. They're being their eternal self. So what I wanted and what I ask, you don't have to necessarily do it all right here, right now, but I want you to think of your core values. And your core values are the qualities of being that you want to embody. And you choose them because you're a creator. So I'll just tell you mine. Like mine are all those C words, first of all. But I chose for this blog that I wrote, the four most powerful that I connect with, that I want to show up with, is bold, joyful, vibrant, and generous. Those are my four. And bold, because this is a new space that we're stepping into. It's just, we're being led by our Christ mind into the unknown. So you have to be bold, and please don't take mine. I'm just expressing like what I did. And joyful, because I love that line in lesson 100, joy heals. Your joy heals all sorrow, all sickness. So I want to remember to stay in that vibration of joy, because my joy as a child of God, no cares, no worries, just joyful, that's an energy field that heals. So I don't have to heal. I don't have to do anything. My joy heals. And then vibrant, because the love of God is pouring through me. And so it's this energy field of vibrancy and radiance. And generous, because that was my ticket out of here. Generous was where I moved into community and being a creator, where you recognize that you have these gifts of God, grace, joy, peace, kindness, love. You have presence. You have so many gifts. And you must begin to give them. You cannot know you have these until you give them. And so I made a conscious decision years ago that I was a generous giver, that I am entrusted with the gifts of God, and I give them because I'm selfish. I want to keep them. I want to keep. And now you become love without a filter. You really can become. So what I ask for you to do is you either can come up with something now, or I want you to pay attention this week to just how you really want to show up. And it might mean that you're listening to what people say to you about yourself. And that you're always being revealed what your gifts are. And you might want to ask someone, like text them or call them or ask them, like, can you just tell me what you see when you think about me? Like, what are my strengths? What are the things that you think? Like, one of the things people think about me, I'm practical and I'm fun. I love that. Like, and so I'm like, yeah, that's for me. Like, to keep the message so simple and so down to earth that it's understandable and doable. Or find someone who you admire, like someone who's already embodying the qualities that you really love. Because when you see it in another, that's a clue for you. And I'd love to just, we're like right at the end here. Does anybody want to say one or two of your core values if you already wrote one down? Where's the mic? I saw some pens going. If anybody dares to be bold. Susan.
Well, two came to me right away. Joyful, even though it's yours. That's the book that I'm writing, Surrender to Joy. So that's a definite. And passionate, because I think I have a very passionate personality. So the other two I'm working on.
That's so good. Anybody else? Yes, Peter.
The first thing that came to me is I'm peaceful.
Is what?
Peaceful.
Peaceful, yeah. That's perfect. Like when I see you, that's exactly what comes to mind. And the word that you choose, it should be, you're embodying it so much that you don't have to tell people. They just know, oh, you're the grace of God. Like that's what I want. When I see you, that's always what I think. You're so graceful. It's like this total peace and you're so grounded and it's like you don't have to tell me that. It's like that's what I feel when I'm with you. And so you can begin to play around with the idea. Jesus says that this is a happy game that children play. Like this business of awakening and transformation. It's not supposed to be serious. It's not serious, right? But we take it seriously. It's ridiculous. Like we start like, oh, I need to go find a teacher and I need to study and I need to, no, you need to play. You need to go enjoy. You need to have fun. You need to just connect with your playmates and just let this really be an awakening for you. And so I thank you with all my hearts for being here. Did you have one? Was that a hand up? No, okay. Sometimes I see a scratch and it turns into a, that's funny. Okay, so thank you so much. If you can join me in a circle. Does anybody want to do a prayer? Closing prayer? Idris, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just gonna
take it in. Okay. What?
I'm so grateful to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. So, thank you so much. Jesus always says to us, this is our new beginning. And so we acknowledge that the past is over. Whatever came before this moment is gone. And it can only show up again if you pick it up. So don't pick it up. Don't pick up the past again. Just allow yourself to be made new in this moment, because you are made new and you are a creator, you are a healer, and you are a therapist of God. You are a physician of the Lord. And this is the boldness. This is why bold is my number one, because I'm really getting a push that I'm to show up here and activate individuals to step into their true function and to start to feel confident that you can say these things, that you can see yourself as a physician of the Lord, You are a healer. You're carrying the presence and the power of God to all the places that you go. So we're not physicians of the world. We're physicians in the true sense. And that the light, the love, and the joy that you are is healing everyone and everything. And our work is to see the blocks that are still there, where we're still blocking this light from just flowing. Like, where are we still hiding? Where are you not being authentic? Where are you still crouching in fear because you're afraid of what people will say? Where are you not showing up in your life? And let it be messy. Like, because as long as you are going to try to wait until you can have the confidence, you're never going to see what's hidden. You can't heal it. So let it be messy. That's why we're always wanting to give the mic in here. To just let it roll. Say something stupid, because then you can see it, right? Then it can be seen. You can see it, not hiding anymore. And we're all here supporting you in whatever expression comes forth. And so we meet every Friday morning here. We're live stream. We are so grateful for everyone who attends, and we are so grateful for your contributions. They help us pay for the space. They help us pay for the live stream. It supports Unity on the River. And there's a box in the back there. Give what you can. And we're just grateful. And we do the Unity blessing of the tides, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So closing your eyes, just taking a deep breath in. And we close in the same way that we open, in prayer. And prayer is nothing more than a way to reach to God. And God isn't outside of you. God is a state of being. God is the truth of what you are. God is the love that you are. I want you to feel the hand on both sides of you. And just move your focus and awareness to your feet. Where are you? Wherever your feet are is exactly where you're meant to be, because that's where God is. That's where you are. And so I give thanks that we are all here together. And Jesus tells us in A Course in Miracles, now you stand at the edge of the world holding the hand of your brother. And we go together now. We will not go alone from here. And we're moving into a whole new space, the healing of the one mind, the healing of this world, where every hand is joined in love. And I'm just grateful that each of us has gifts, just different gifts, artists, scientists, mothers, fathers, gardeners, teachers, coaches, mentors, whatever's yours that's in you, that brings you joy, bring it forth. And here we are, Lord, we're listening, and we know that we are being guided perfectly, and we follow this light that we are, that is leading us, behind us, before us, beside us. And we just are joyful, expectation, and love. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, guys.
That was beautiful, Lisa. Really beautiful.
Thank you. I love that you're writing